defiance ends here, hatchling.
We will win this together. The prize pays comes to join.
My connection. Behold, my collection.
I will have what I want. Why?
Scurry. Scurry.
My irritation is growing. This will not be an escape.
Punishment inescapable.
Arrogant toy. Stand
All things said remain consumed by fear. Nothing is secure within the reality of torment. Frozen in time and space. Her power is an illusion. She suffers. Her dread, but later never came. Patience is a mercy.
Hey guys, not Fubgun, but this is Kafka. A lot of people were asking me to make the video about the funny Reap build that hit #1 on DPS ladder on Ninja. In the current state of the build, I'm going to be entirely honest, it's playable, but very, very minimal functionality. So I can kill basically every Uber boss. There's no chance of this build mapping. If I get spat at, I die. There's paper napkins with more HP than me currently. But in terms of DPS, it's currently sitting at 12.5 billion. That's with fully ramp. Only problem being is there's pretty much nothing in the game that actually lets me ramp up that far other than Uber Maven because of her phases. And even then, if I land the double phase skip, I still can't hit max charges. In terms of the build itself, it kind of stems from the Fearless Dumbo Exsanguinate Reaper or Reap Mine build that he did his league start, I think, last league. I played it in Merc, and it was a really good build. I pushed it with Mage Blood. I didn't really care about DPS. I had like +8 chain or some shit on Exsanguinate. It was awesome. But this build, I decided to push DPS ladder after landing, I think it was week 2. I landed a triple positive focus, and haha, no quality, I'm aware. I didn't expect to hit this on my first ever miss of the entire league, but, you know, it's fine. The build itself, I think, is currently worth around 20 mirrors, and that's only because I have the 2 unmirrored pieces of gear there, both of which are up for mirror service, by the way, if you care. Usable in Exsanguinate Reap builds. I don't know what else. Probably only usable in Exsanguinate builds. If you use this on a Reap build, you're an actual psychopath. The build itself, is it worth it? Probably not. Is it cool? Yeah, it's really fucking cool. Reap is a really cool skill. You can do deathless kills. The only ones that are pretty bad is Reverence Boss and Uber Elder, or Uber Elder, sorry. Only because Reverence Boss, if his Fire Blast hit you, you die. It insta-ticks you and you die. If any of the little orbs from his casts hit you, you instantly die. There's 0 chance of him or the other bosses that spawn killing you. Same goes with Uber Elder. With that, the only things that will really kill you is Shaper's Ball Phase. You play it enough. I mean, like I said, I've done plenty that are deathless. The funnest kills on this are definitely Exarch and Eater because they just spawn. I maybe let them live for like a second to get charges and then I just one tap them. I've made my most money this league farming the trauma boss, the normal trauma boss, I believe, because he drops the Enmity's Embrace. It's not showing all of them. There's definitely a lot more. I sold some crazy rolls, volatiled a bunch, lost a bunch. In terms of scaling, the entire scaling is pretty much crit multi's the main one. There's a few little weird techie things we've done to hit crit cap in this. Like I have a buff effect increased ice golem. I have to run a double crit flask. I do crit chance against shocked enemies. Technically, I could change some things around the build if I got the triple hatred Watcher's Eye, but I don't plan on spending another 4 mirrors on the build just because I think it's kind of already where I want it. There is multiple PoBs. I'll probably go through like 3 of them maybe. The only weird caveats with this build is you really want to focus on mine throwing speed just because it's exponential damage increase. That alongside crit multi, but there is a threshold where you are overthrowing with mines and you can't sustain life, which is why I have life regen on all my gear. Anything that can roll life regen, I grab life regen. Obviously not the helmet because there's no point in crafting one of these with life regen. It's a massive damage loss. You could get a 3% life regen on the flask, but again, I'm not crit capped currently without this flask, so it's kind of needed. In terms of the gear itself, obviously, triple synth dagger. I settled spell damage essence only because we were already 2 mirrors deep in fossils. In terms of the combo for the actual boss itself, it is you place down your brand. Your brand procs your tailwind because I myself can't proc tailwind through the mines. You proc your tailwind. You can throw down bear trap while the boss is spawning. You use Ellie weakness first. It doesn't really matter. You're going to use both curses anyway, but you get the increased damage as random elemental damage from this. You proc it through your balance of terror. Ellie weakness, frostbite. While this is being casted, it's already attacking you with the enemies with Val Reap. So you're gaining blood. It goes off the screen. You're gaining blood charges from the Val Reap. It's only level 1. It's literally only there to proc blood charges. And then Righteous Fire, throw 1 mine. The 1 mine kills everything. There's maybe the odd occasion where the double damages don't proc, but I mean, you've got 10% double damage, 10% double damage from the Jewel, the Lethal Pride. You've got 10%, you've got percent fizz, you've got double damage, 5. So you got 15% just from this one Jewel alone. Other ones are dead mod. There's pretty much no other combination of jewels in this build that can really push much more damage out, if I'm honest. A lot of PoBing went into this from quite a few people that I'll mention a little later in the video. But in its current state, the build's pretty solid. There's definitely better versions of the build. The better version of the build being the Adorned setup, which technically I was in the middle of while I was doing this. But rolling these jewels is a bitch. It is a real problem. None of them exist in League. I myself have spent a bit of time rolling these guys. All of them are currently 1 out of 2 on their implicits. I would still need to beast lock Val them to go for pen. Then again, it's a 1 in 3, and then the chances of me landing the item sells to vendors mod, not crazy. I'm missing 1 more voices as well, and I would need to buy an Adorned, so that's why I'm saying I don't really want to dump another 4 mirrors into rolling these jewels, another mirror into a voices, and then a mirror and a half into an Adorned. This version of the build is pretty much at its peak. 20 bill DPS, full DPS, that's scaled. The warnings don't really matter. That's just taken into account. If it had Vitality, probably a little less than this because Vitality wouldn't be active. Obviously, Resistance is completely fucked. This again, functionally, this build doesn't do anything other than kill Ubers. But there's many versions of this build. So previously, I was running Fearless Dumbo Star, which is obviously just a standard Exsanguinate build. Nothing crazy. If you go to Fearless Dumbo's channel, you'll see these 1,000 times over. You're running Grim Sorrows, you're converting Fizz to Chaos, or Fizz to Cold, sorry. You're scaling crit multi, you get as much gem level as you can for Fizz and all spells. I believe his ones are pretty much almost always spell suppressed. Yeah, spell suppress, more EHP. Compared to my current build, this looks like a jug. The DPS journey really started with this was myself when I first landed the amulet. Not even actually, sorry, this is when I just went my +2 amulet. and I realized just how much damage I was doing. Double tamings, heat shiver with mana res. This was pre-helmet. This is before I really decided I wanted to start investing money into the build. This is before some people approached me with money for the build, and I was still on Trickster here, I believe. Yeah, so I hadn't even swapped Assassin. Following this, week 3, I believe this is when I landed the Amulet. It is. So week 3 in the league, I landed the Amulet, and this is like, holy shit, I really can start pushing for this build. You've got these daggers here, which I believe Fearless Dumbo himself shows how to craft some of these, but I myself have a pretty good method. It was basically a case of Platinum Chris's just for the crit chance, because it's going to be the normal implicit. You would roll them with alterations until you get +1 all spells and plus tier 1 spell damage. Get them on their own. You recom them, only 2 mods on the item. Multi-mod, suffixes can't be changed, cannot roll attack. Aug Fizz. Guarantees all your prefixes, they're done. And then you've got 2 options. You can either go the expensive route or the cheap route. Cheap route being craft prefixes can't be changed, Veiled Chaos. Hopefully it doesn't fill and you only roll the Veiled mod. You would craft Cold Damage over Time multi, or any damage over Time multi, honest, as a block, and unveil crit multi with rare and uniques. Then you would just craft on Mind Throwing Speed and slam with the Redeemer's Orb. The Redeemer's Orb, you've got Hatred Aura effect, you've got double damage, damage per frenzy, all of those, really good. Any of the 3 of those, if you hit a high tier 1 or 2, you're fine. I used those daggers up until I hit, I think, 4 billion DPS. Even while mapping on an Exsanguinate, it feels great. The other option is once the prefixes are done, you can do prefixes can't be changed, add, remove, crit. And you basically just keep doing this. If it doesn't hit, you do prefixes can't be changed, scour, prefixes can't be changed again, add, remove, crit, until eventually you hit tier 1 crit multi. Then you would do multi-mod, prefixes can't be changed, Veiled Exile, land the 2 and 3, craft your block again. Hopefully it doesn't eat your crit multi, and as long as it doesn't, you have a pretty decent chance of unveiling either double damage as a mod as well, damage per frenzy as a mod, ideally crit multi against rares and uniques again. So at that point you're running, I think, already 70 plus crit multi just on the daggers alone. You can get that on both of them. Craft your Mind Throwing Speed and you're done. Other than that, for the crafts, that's pretty much it. You've just got your standard mana reservation. For this one was a pretty easy craft. Buy your Fractured base or fracture it yourself. Obviously, it's a breach mod on the chestplate prefix there. You would roll with reservation essences until you hit tier 1 life regen. You would craft suffixes can't be changed, and ideally just Veiled Chaos. Veiled Chaos, ideally you want the strength dex, just because I have so many tattoos in this version of the build that I'm so starved in pretty much everything. The build's like teetering on exactly what it needs. And then you can just Eldritch Currency away your prefixes. Aura effect is massive on the implicits. Chestplate's pretty easy. That's it. Done. The helmet itself is a little weird. Unelevated version of this helmet, obviously a lot easier to craft. I got pretty lucky in locks and did this in 4. All you would really do is you would roll with, I think it's Essence of Horror, sorry. So you would roll with Essence of Horror until you hit Trap and Mine. Once you hit just those 2 mods alone, you could do Suffixes Can't Be Changed, Reforge Cold, which gives you a pretty decent chance at rolling Hypothermia. Ideally, you just hit 20s. Suffixes are done. You don't touch them. For the prefixes, you would do Wild Bristle Matrons, which guarantee your suffix can't be changed. You would Slam X. Ideally, you hit Conk Effect. Once you hit Conk Effect, you could Suffixes Can't Be Changed again and Veiled X. Or you could settle and just craft the bench version of the plus AoE mods. If you don't go for the settle and you hit the Veiled mod, you can craft plus skeletons and plus zombies, which should block. And then you just unveil this, finish on a craft. Doesn't really matter what you go for. I just went for life because quality of life, as if it matters at this point. Your tamings, there's pretty much no other ring that beats this. Earlier in the build, you do have the option to run Winterweave for reverse chill effect, obviously, but you need to be shock immune. You want to stay non-ailment immune so you can still get the benefits from the chill. Pretty much nothing beats an overrolled taming. The Volatile Val, kind of crazy roll. I think this is 2% or 1% off perfect. Once you get one of these, dupe it with Calandra's Touch, that's it. As for the belt, there's pretty much nothing that beats Archon's Tools. The mana reservation efficiency is kind of required due to the tightness on the mana reservation, obviously. Qualityed up with life and mana catalysts. Ideally, a better one of these would have a better roll on Trap and Mind Throwing Speed. The effect of non-damaging ailments is good. I think anything above 70 is pretty good settle. As for the corrupts, you're looking for zealotry or hatred effect. Obviously, I only have the zealotry effect. I've corrupted. I don't know how many of these. I've bricked. I don't know how many of these. The ideal second mod to go with this would be crit multi during flask effect. At this stage of the build, even pre-adorned jewels, it's like a plus 400 million or something. It's pretty substantial, but again, doesn't exist. And target farming double corrupts, good luck. The gloves, nothing crazy. I just opted for increased critical strike chance against shocked enemies. I rolled it with a global crit chance essence until I hit the regen life. I then did Eldritch rolling until I hit tier 1 life. I would do suffixes can't be changed, veiled X. As soon as you want ID, cold convert, you're done. Craft another mod. Increase damage during flask effect, more damage to the build. Doesn't matter. The implicits on here are pretty important. The cold exposure, 22% on perfect is very nice. The mine throwing speed is very nice. Obviously, all of these are pinnacle boss, just because it's a bosser. You're not doing anything else on this build. It really doesn't matter. As for these daggers, just a quick mention, none of these nothing anything similar to this existed at the time. So I self triple synthed a Imperial Dagger 30 qual and sat in the menagerie for I think 22 hours, maybe just less, maybe about 20 hours. About 5.5 mirrors worth of Vivid Vultures rolled. I was doing it on this build, so I definitely died a good few times. Probably lost close to 100 div. At the time, I didn't have someone to roll it with me, so it was just me doing it the whole time. The rest of this was crafted with fossils. Initially, I lost about 2 mirrors and fossils just on the spell damage +1 all craft. Didn't hit it. I decided to settle on this. Pretty much the exact same strategy as crafting the cheaper daggers that I mentioned. Everything else in the build, in terms of the jewels, you're going for Battle Hardened, Force Multiplier, Iron Breaker. You've got more Fizz, you've got more Fizz, you've got double damage. Same on both. You do need strength on one of these just because you are, again, so tight on strength. For these mediums, you have the Stolen Crit Multi from the Critical Strike Chance base. I believe that's the base it came from. And I just rolled with, I believe it was crit. I just kept rolling crit at Harvest Bench. Or speed. You can do speed as well. Obviously, a lot more expensive because you are using Yellow Juice. At this point in the league, Yellow Juice is stupid. I have 4 of these jewels. For this, we're running Forbidden Flame and Flesh, Swift Killer. After swapping Ascendancies, obviously I still wanted to maintain the 2+2 power frenzy charges because the build is pretty dependent on them in terms of this. Aeol Hatred Aura effect. Right now in the build, almost never at max frenzy charges. On every other iteration of the build, I was pretty much always at maximum frenzies. Other than that, I would say the build's kind of there. The only way this build is really getting better is if I'm pushing 20 bill, which involves the Adorns, which I really don't want to do. If anybody spoke to me about this build, they'll know that. Regardless, it's been pretty fun. I'm probably still going to play the build a little bit. I'm definitely still going to play the League a bit. I'm working on a Spark character just now. Probably going to pivot to E-Blade Spark as requested by a few guys. That's basically it. I mean, there's definitely a few people to thank for sure. There's Shoal, who was the original investor in the build, won a ridiculous gamble and decided to throw 6 mirrors at me. I invested, I think, into the dagger alone 2 mirrors of myself, and then the rest of the build I've just crafted over time. The other people are Sans. Sans has helped me a lot with the crafting and PoBing of the build. Pretty much helped me with the entire part of the Adorned PoB, just because at this point I got kind of tired of looking at anything Adorned related. So big thanks there. Zoe as well. Zoe was playing on and off the league, gambled a bunch of money, and decided to chuck another 2 mirrors at me. Free, who I've been playing a lot with recently, he's invested a couple mirrors into the build for the Adorned stuff. Whether the Adorned stuff goes through or not, we'll see. There's definitely still a lot more that can be done, but it's a massive time sink for probably not finishing it until next league. Obviously PoE2 league at some point soon. And Spooky, who is editing the video now. Yeah, that's it, I'd say. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for everybody who supported the build. Thank you for anyone who asked me questions about the build. It feels pretty fun being #1 on the DPS ladder. A lot of people have asked me stuff as if I know anything. I just pretend I'm clueless and stole this build from someone else. But yeah, thanks guys. Cheers.